walk around Walmart like, man, the world about to end. I try to stay out of Walmart because I don't like the outfits. Yeah, Walmart is just where people go to give up on life. Just everybody in there, it's too much struggle in that place. Everybody got something wrong with them. Everybody cockeyed as they got a missing side tooth for their fucking ankles bigger than their calves. It's just a herd of undesirable motherfuckers just gathered around looking for falling prices. The same niggas that shop at Walmart eat at Golden Corral. It's the same class of people. Matter of fact, Golden Corral ain't number Walmart with a buffet, goddammit. If you ain't laughing, you part of the problem. How about that? I saw a lot of you niggas pull back like, wait a minute. Goddamn, what's wrong with Golden Corral? Nigga, you, shit. It's the people, it ain't the food, shit. I don't even wash my hands when I eat at Golden Corral. Shit. Oh, for what? Ain't nobody else doing it. Shit. I wash my hands. I'm gonna fuck around and get sick. Shit. I can't be the only nigga in here with clean hands. Shit, them germs will jump the fuck out of me. As soon as I come out the bathroom, psst, come here, nigga. You think you better than us, don't you? Open up your goddamn mouth. You gonna get this E. coli today. Old bougie ass nigga washing his hands and shit.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The thoughts, views shared here are just that, views. We just conversing, sharing perspective while having fun. So don't take this shit personal, and definitely don't try this at home. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's get to it.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.
What's poppin', with the family tonight on this beautiful Monday night? I got a great conversation for y'all. You know, Jesse Jackson's funeral was something one of a kind. You know, he was one of the last civil rights leaders that spoke for the black community and spoke for, you know, us in totality as a whole. And what made me intrigued about wanting to listen to Obama's speech, and then I wanted to check out Al Sharpton's speech, is that Jesse Jackson's son came out and he said some profound things about presidents attending his father's funeral. Let's get to it now.
Yesterday, I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson. He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent, prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was. Our message has already been delivered today. I can see it all over my mother's face. Rise, Jesse, rise. Give Jonathan Jackson another great round of applause for delivering our family message to the world. Let's hear it for the congressman. There'll be no different message that leaves this service than the one that Jonathan Jackson has blessed us with.
You know, I chose to go live today because I seen where the presidents that he mentioned are being ridiculed or being, you know, the characters being questioned for the things that they had to say at a man's funeral. They saying the funeral isn't no place for politics, for you to be talking about what you disgruntled with about Trump. And he came up there and he said some that was very profound that he said he seen three presidents come up here and they didn't know my father. You know, obviously it was Obama, it was Bill Clinton, and it was President Biden. So, with that being said, I was reading the comment section and I was looking at a whole bunch of people's perspective of why he said this. And there's people creating content around this. And I decided to do this call-in show because I wanted to hear other individuals' perspective. So people were saying that he was showing bitterness towards Obama and his administration for locking him up. And then he was bitter towards the Biden administration for not pardoning him. Now, we're going to get into this piece and see what Obama had to say that made Jesse Jackson's son so disgruntled. So let's check it out, man. And if y'all want to call into the show and discuss some of these topics at hand with me, I will be greatly appreciative to hear your perspective on the topics at hand. Let's get to it.
It's good to be home. I love you back. The book of Isaiah. Where are you at? Now, see, I believe in the Constitution. The book of Isaiah God is looking for a messenger to guide a hardened and resistant people. And the Lord asks, whom shall I send? And who will go with us? To which Isaiah replies, here I am, Lord. Send me. To Mother Jackson and the Jackson family, to President and Mrs. Biden, President and Secretary Clinton, Vice President Harris, Pastor Dates, my old friend, though he looking good, Reverend Meeks, Reverend Jenkins. It is an honor to join you today to celebrate the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson, a man who, when the poor and the dispossessed needed a champion, and a country needed healing, stepped forward again and again and again and said, send me. Reverend Jackson's immense gifts were apparent at an early age, even if his circumstances conspired to try to hold him back. Born out of wedlock to a teenage mom, growing up under the oppressive cloud of segregation, confined to schools, sports facilities, movie theaters that were separate and unequal. It was a world where on Thanksgiving he'd have to wait for his mother to come home on the bus carrying leftovers from the dinner she had to cook for somebody else. A world designed to tell a child that he or she could only go so far. That to think otherwise would be foolish or dangerous, and that wisdom required you to accept your lot in life. Young Jesse refused to accept that verdict. He was a born leader, an athlete, a talker, knew how to talk, star quarterback, student body president. He could have succeeded within the confines that were determined for him and had a successful life. But like so many of his generation, so many extraordinary civil rights leaders in the late 50s and 60s, that Joshua generation, he instinctively understood that individual success meant nothing unless everybody was free. So he became inspired by the bus boycotts in Montgomery. He led 7 black students into the whites-only library, sitting down and getting arrested for reading. Think about that. The library closed, but then it reopened. And when it did, it was open to everyone. Send me, Jesse said, even as a young man, and the world got a little bit better. By the time Reverend Jackson graduated from college, he had attended Chicago Theological Seminary. He knew the nature of his calling, and he became, as everybody knows, the youngest member of SCLC, assigned to lead Operation Breadbasket here in Chicago, right around the time that Isaiah Thomas is talking about. And it was during this period, and especially after Dr. King's death, when the optimism of the early movement had begun to fade and leadership had begun to fracture, and when the country seemed to have grown bored, gotten weary of the idea of justice and equality, and moved on to other concerns, that Reverend Jackson rose above despair and kept that righteous flame alive. Through Operation Push, he led boycotts and challenged corporate policies around hiring and contracting, recognizing that civil rights without economic justice was an empty promise.
I want to pause it for a minute. You know, listening to Obama speak, a lot of things that he's saying is Googleable, if that's a word. And Jesse Jackson's son, who I played the clip when we first started, ridiculed the 3 presidents that was in attendance at his father's funeral because they didn't know his father. It's starting to be more, visible that they really didn't know his father. I was going to come on here and say to the people who may not have known Jesse Jackson, I had a whole speech I got in my notes that I was going to talk about the things he done with the Operation Breadbasket. Let me read a few of them. I was going to talk about the Rainbow Coalition. I was going to talk about how he called New York a homie town. You know, I was going to talk about his impact after Dr. King's death, being the most visible black leader continuing the movement for political and economic equality. And all of those things that I had researched, and I have recently read his book, is the same things that Obama's talking about. Like, it's the things that he's talking about isn't things that he can speak about from experience. He's speaking about it from knowing the history, and just these things are easily accessible for us to be able to listen to them or hear them. But if y'all want to contribute to this conversation, I suggest y'all call into the show, and I would greatly appreciate to hear y'all perspective on this, because the presidents are being ridiculed right now, and a lot of people are in agreement with Jesse Jackson's son that, y'all didn't know us, man. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all didn't know us. Y'all just up here speaking foolishness, real talk. So let's get back into this conversation and see what Obama talking about.
He backed unions in their organizing efforts and activists in fair wage campaigns, understanding that if the have-nots and the have-little bits ever learned to make common cause across racial lines instead of fighting each other over breadcrumbs, everybody would benefit. He helped register millions of voters. He fought against biases in the criminal justice system. He drew attention to local abuses of power and called folks at the national level to account. And by the early 80s, he was delivering that message of change and hope across the globe, freeing hostages from captivity, fighting to end apartheid in South Africa. And then, in 1984, as the powers that be in Washington were rolling back hard-won progress, slashing the social safety net, when more and more folks were getting left behind, and greed was being trumpeted as a virtue. See, we've been there before. He stepped forward once again and said, "Send me." He ran for the presidency of the United States of America. I had just graduated from college during that first campaign. And I was living in New York at the time. I was working to pay off my student loans, eating a lot of tuna fish and Campbell soup. And if I went to a diner, I'd grab some extra crackers, put them in my pocket. And I was inspired by the civil rights movement. And I had in my mind to work for social justice. But even though I was full of good intentions, I was uncertain of how to serve and fighting off self-doubt. And I remember how, at the time, plenty of people, including, plenty of black folks, were dismissing Jesse's chances, suggesting, oh, he just wants attention, he can only get black votes. But then I remember one night sitting in my janky apartment, and I got an old black and white TV with the rabbit ears, and I'm kind of jiggering around, and it's about this big. I know young people can't imagine, but TV was about this big. And I'm watching the Democratic primary debate between him and Walter Mondale and Gary Hart. And I remember how, when that debate was over, I turned off that TV and I thought the same thing that I know a lot of people thought that night, even if they didn't want to admit it. That in his ideas, in his platform, in his analysis, in his intelligence, in his insight, Jesse hadn't just held his own. He had owned that stage. He wasn't an intruder. He wasn't a pretender. He belonged. on that stage. And the message he sent to a 22-year-old child of a single mother with a funny name, an outsider, was that maybe there wasn't any place, any room where we didn't belong.
I want to say something about this, these last few minutes that I played the video of. And if y'all are watching this, tell me how the audio sounds with me and how the audio sounds of Barack Obama and the messaging. I would like to know if y'all can hear it clearly. I have never, from the people that's older than me, heard them speak positively about Jesse Jackson. I never heard nobody older than me speak positively about him. But when I go back and look at the videos and I listen to him speak to children, I listen to him speak about politics. He was a man of the people. He spoke about black empowerment. He had structure and ideas that was beneficial. And I never heard us speak positively about him. It's like, when one of us come up, it's always a comparing and competing type of aspect where people don't want to see you better than them. But I want to let Obama continue on with the conversation. It's just that, was Jesse Jackson the first indigenous black American to run for the president? I would like to know your perspective on that also, because, Obama, they consider him black in America though, but I feel like Obama isn't an indigenous black man. That's just my perspective of it, because his father is African and his mother is Caucasian. Could that make him an indigenous black man? But not trying to knock him or whatever though, but was Jesse Jackson the first indigenous black man to run for president? And if y'all have any knowledge that his family members or anybody came from any other place, let me know. I would like to be educated on that, because this is getting interesting. Let's let them cook.
And that message of fairness and dignity, of justice and hope, that's what the Rainbow Coalition was all about. In 1984, and then again in 1988, Jesse didn't just speak to black folks, he spoke to white folks and Latinos and Asian Americans and the first Americans. He spoke to family farmers and environmentalists. He spoke to gay rights activists when nobody was talking to gay rights activists, and blue-collar workers. And he gave them the same message, that they mattered, that their voices and their votes counted. He invited them to believe. He invited us to believe in our own power to change America for the better. By the delegate count, Jesse's two candidacies ultimately came up short. But he paved the road for so many others to follow. Doug Wilder became the first elected black governor. Carol Moseley Braun went to the U.S. Senate. Because of Jesse, the Democratic Party changed its rules, ending the winner-take-all distribution of delegates during presidential primaries, which meant underdogs and outsiders like Bill Clinton or Bernie Sanders could stay competitive and build momentum instead of getting knocked out early. And it was because of that path that he had laid, because of his courage, his audacity, that 2 decades later, a young black senator from Chicago's South Side would even be taken seriously as a candidate for the presidential nomination.
I be tripping off of like motivational speakers, pastors, presidents, you know, how they speak on things to get people roused up and champion them and celebrating them. It's just interesting. Before I paused it, he was talking about the Rainbow Coalition, something that Jesse Jackson created in his time after the civil rights, when after Martin Luther King died. If people don't know, Jesse Jackson was the man standing right beside Martin Luther King in Memphis when Martin Luther King got shot. And he took the mantle and tried to be, you know, as lucrative to the black community as Martin Luther King. But a lot of people that's older than me was telling me that he wasn't it. Now, looking back at this, it feels like he was trying his best, but his ideas is something that, you know, looking at it in 2026, when the black community is talking about delineating from other communities and prioritizing self, the Rainbow Coalition is something that is including all, no matter who you are. And when you're in political office and political seats and stuff like that, you want everybody to be included. But, you know, I honestly feel like people should prioritize their own, you know, promote prioritizing your own, because we got problems and things that we have to deal with internally before we can assist others. Now, one thing I want to say before I want to continue on with what was said, during the Obama administration, he always talked about homosexual stuff and prioritized the LGBTQ community. He had to add that piece at this man's funeral, that he put gay rights in position for them to become law so they could be able to treat people differently. You know, I'm not an advocate for speaking bad on no human beings or whatever though, but that gay right shit, that shit weird, man. Like that shit just weird to me, man. Like transsexuals and stuff playing in men playing in female sports and all of that old type of stuff. I'm not with all of that. And it seems like something that Obama prioritized over what he presumed to be his own people, which is black people. Because once people become a part of that LGBTQ community, they stop identifying with who they originally are. Let me let them continue on. Real talk.
I still credit that first run of Jesse's and Harold Washington's campaign for drawing me to Chicago. And I didn't know anybody when I first arrived. I was working as a community organizer, as it so happens, in neighborhoods right around here. Roseland, Woodlawn, Alt Gill, West Pullman. And I'm meeting these young preachers like Meeks and some crazy priest named Flager. And and I guess Jenkins was running around, but he's kind of young. He came a little bit later, but I'm going to churches and I'm listening to all these amazing preachers and it was hard work. And half the time I didn't know what I was doing. And progress was slow. And I definitely didn't know how I was going to survive these Chicago winters. Because I grew up in Hawaii. But I do remember heading to the Push headquarters some Saturday mornings to listen and learn from Reverend Jackson. And y'all remember how on some mornings, if there was a major issue going on, the room would be packed to the rafters. And sometimes some celebrity just wanders in. And then some mornings it was kind of low-key. Either way, though, that the announcements would be made, and Reverend Barrow would say a prayer, and Jesse'd sit there, and then finally he'd gather himself up and stand, and he'd start kind of slow, you know. And sometimes he'd talk kind of low, so you couldn't quite catch what he was saying. So everybody lean in. And over time, it was that same boundless energy that would emerge, and that same passion and that same insight. And he'd offer you a master class in economics on a Saturday morning. And he'd give you a seminar in American history and American politics. And he'd make complicated things plain. And he'd tell stories that would make you laugh 1 minute and cry the next. And whether you were a bus driver or a teacher or a business leader or a young organizer, you came away from those meetings with a better understanding of how the world worked, how power worked. And more importantly, he made you believe that if we came together, we could make the world work better. Now, we've been talking about Jesse telling us we are somebody. I am somebody. And he wasn't just talking to young black boys like Isaiah, though he loved them fiercely. He wasn't just talking to young black girls to help them believe, though he believed in them. He was talking about everyone who was left out, everyone who was forgotten, everyone who was unseen, everyone who was unheard. And in that sense, he was expressing the very essence of what our democracy should be. The ideals at the very heart of the American experiment. The belief that regardless of what we look like or how we worship, regardless of where our ancestors come from or how much money we got, we're all part of the American family. We're all endowed with the same inalienable rights to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. We're all obligated to answer the call and step forward and take responsibility for making wrongs right and for caring for our neighbors and bringing the reality of America a step closer to its glorious ideals. And answering that call isn't always easy. And Reverend Jackson and his family knew that better than most. To do what he did, he would endure all kinds of hatred and setbacks and betrayals and doubters and death threats. He would sacrifice, as Jim Reynolds pointed out, the leisure and comfort of what was available to him as a far more financially secure life. And those sacrifices were not his alone. They were shared by his wife and his children. And they bore that burden with grace and strength. I got to know the Reverend and his family over the years, and as I watched his children follow his example of service, I came to appreciate the conviction that drove him, that he had passed on, the faith that guided him and that he had passed on. And it was a faith that didn't waver, a flame that burned bright, even as his body began to fail. The last time he and I had a chance to visit in person, he was already ailing. It was getting difficult for him to stand, difficult for him to speak. We were in Hyde Park, in a hotel room. I embraced him and figured we'd just have a low-key visit. Maybe he'd need some rest. And he starts coming up with this project and this initiative and issues I needed to look into. And here's some commentary that he would suggest, and some phrasing that he thought might work, and maybe we might co-write an article. And listening to him, I couldn't help smiling because it took me back. And I started reminiscing with him about those Saturday mornings at Push and the breakfast that he'd host, you know, away from the full meeting. And I didn't get a chance to go to that until I was a state senator, and probably Meeks invited me. So I was like, you know.
I wanted to address something because I see I got a viewer that's checking out the show, and I want to say something to her. Salute the timestamp, Tiffany. I appreciate you tapping into the show. Have you been seeing, Tiffany, all over social media, the internet, TikTok, YouTube, and stuff, people ridiculing Obama for his speech at Jesse Jackson's funeral? His son had some things to say at the funeral. I'm going to play the clip again for the people who might have just came on. And his son had this to say about the presidents who attended his father's funeral.
Yesterday, I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson. He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent, prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was. Our message has already been delivered today. I can see it all over my mother's face. Rise, Jesse, rise. Give Jonathan Jackson another great round of applause for delivering our family message to the world.
You know, I didn't see any apologies, Tiffany. That's interesting. That I didn't see that yet, though. But listening to Obama's speech, I haven't listened to it all the way yet. But he is not speaking to me yet politically. He is still talking about his experience and how Jesse Jackson has influenced him and things like that. He is speaking about himself, but I don't hear him bashing Trump. I don't hear him talking all the things that I've heard other individuals talk about. Even Jesse Jackson's sons were saying that they made it more political than about their father. And that's interesting when you go to a funeral and you hear people use it as a platform to speak. That's a little weird to me. But I'm going to continue to play the video, the reaction or whatever. And if you want to call in, Tiffany, and give your perspective, or if anybody else want to call in that's watching the show, I highly appreciate y'all, man. I ain't trying to waste y'all time. Let's chop it up. Let's get to it.
I was tagging along with Meeks, and he'd pull out a piece of paper. You know, he'd scribbled some stuff, and he'd start passing out assignments and pulling together working groups and asking for updates on the latest campaign. And I'll admit, let's face it, those sessions could run a little long and did not always follow Robert's Rules of Order. But when Jesse called your name and acknowledged you in that room, especially if you were young, especially if you were just coming up, especially if you weren't sure you could pull off what you thought you might be able to do, especially when you needed help. When he did that, you stood up a little straighter. You knew you'd been seen by this giant. He'd laid hands on you and let you know you had a contribution to make. And so that day, I told him how much that meant to me and how much it meant to so many lives that he impacted. And I told him, thank you, because I'd always be grateful for that legacy of hope. I know I've gone long. It was going to be much shorter until Isaiah spoke. I figure if a Detroit Piston can take up this much time, it was beautiful, and I mean that. Love me some Isaiah. We are living in a time when it can be hard to hope. Each day we wake up to some new assault on our democratic institutions. Another setback to the idea of the rule of law. An offense to common decency. Every day you wake up to things you just didn't think were possible. Each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other, and that some Americans count more than others, and that some don't even count at all. Everywhere we see greed and bigotry being celebrated, and bullying and mockery masquerading as strength. We see science and expertise denigrated, while ignorance and dishonesty and cruelty and corruption are reaping untold rewards. Every single day we see that. And it's hard to hope in those moments. So it may be tempting to get discouraged, to give in to cynicism. It may be tempting for some to compromise with power and grab what you can, or even for good people to maybe just put your head down and wait for the storm to pass. But this man, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, inspires us to take a harder path. His voice calls on each of us to be heralds of change, to be messengers of hope, to step forward and say, send me. Wherever we have a chance to make an impact, whether it's in our school, or our workplaces, or our neighborhoods, or our cities. Not for fame, not for glory, or because success is guaranteed, but because it gives our life purpose. Because it aligns with what our faith tells us God demands. And because if we don't step up, no one else will. How fortunate we were that Jesse Jackson answered that call.
Ain't nothing but 10 seconds left of his speech. I want to play, is he a reverend? Yeah, Reverend Al Sharpton's speech, but I want to give a take before I play Reverend Al Sharpton's speech, and I want to address timestamp Tiffany's comments, but I have some things to say about that ending piece from Barack Obama, because he was doing a phenomenal job, but that ending piece got away from the aspect of life and death and we are only here to acknowledge the passing of a man who contributed so much to the black community. And he tried to get in the political realm. He didn't, become the president or whatever though, but as an indigenous black man, because I feel like Jesse Jackson is indigenous to the land. I don't think he's a tether. That's what we call him. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he's indigenous to the land. Obama may be inspired by him or whatever though, but Jesse Jackson was something different. Let me read these comments though. Obama has learned his cadence from the black church and black pastors, which is why he was and still is considered one of the best speakers. He know how to move a crowd like a motivational speaker, like a pastor, like someone who can energize a crowd. And I ain't one of them type people, Tiffany. I don't need your energy, or I don't need the hope speech. I'm not one of those type of people. I know it's a lot of people that are low vibrational, but I'm so high vibrational and I have hopes and dreams and stuff that when people start talking about hope, it's kind of like a letdown. Like, nigga, you've been talking about hope for 20 years. Damn. It got to be a different message. Let me read her other comment also, though. Everyone went over their allotted time, and the congregation, as well as the live stream, became very antsy when the Spanish interpreter got up there and tried to unify black and brown. I would love to see the world. I want to address what Tiffany said. I would love to see the world unified. I would like to be a morally correct person, and probably be a godly type of individual, and see all of us unified. But I would be foolish if I felt that way. You know what I'm saying? That's not possible. And I feel like as a black individual and as an indigenous FBA American, right now the delineation conversation is necessary. I know I don't understand the life experiences that individuals had in the 60s and the 70s, and why they wanted to be integrated with society so much, because I didn't experience that. But I feel like at this time, it's time to remove ourselves from that and prioritize ourselves and evolve in the state that we at right now. I'm getting ready to play Al Sharpton's piece because I want to hear his piece also, because he knew Reverend Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson's son, he came up on the stage and said that these three presidents didn't know my father. And I don't like that they making this a political conversation. And I would have to agree with them with that statement. But I want to hear what Reverend Al Sharpton had to say. I want to see if he said anything prolific that we can take from it and further the conversation. If y'all want to tap into the show, the phone number is to the right of me, 202-492-6844. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your thoughts of the life of Jesse Jackson and the commentary that was gave by Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, his sons, Isaiah Thomas, just all of the speakers. I would love to hear y'all takes. Let's get back into the conversation, though.
We welcome the one and only Reverend Al Sharpton, after which Dr. Jim Sockby will come. Please welcome them.
Thank you. I've heard all through our service, first giving honor and regard to the Jackson family and to the matriarch of liberation, Mrs. Jacqueline Lavinia Jackson.
You tapped into the Trevor Jackson Podcast. May I know who I'm speaking with?
This is Tiffany. Hey, Trevor.
How you doing tonight, Tiffany?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm blessed, man. Just trying to get up to speed on this.
Tapped into the Trevor Jackson Podcast.
I'm turn it down. I'm going to turn it down.
Okay, I was about to tell you I could hear myself behind you. I'm just trying to get up to speed, Tiffany. Do you have anything educational to tell me, or anything like that I may have not I be missing or whatever? Because you said some things. You said you seen an apology.
Yeah, so I saw his what was it, his son? I saw what his son was talking about, and I was like, I really agree with that. One, because I had tapped in and out, and I was like, damn, the funeral still going on. Like when I tell you after like the third hour, so it had this little peaks, and it was jumping. It was jumping like a church service on Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
With some of the performances, and I think that was a really great part as far as them uplifting him and recognizing his contributions and all of that. Phenomenal. And really giving him the send off that he needed. I think that his children and particularly his family, they shared him so much with the world that perhaps, I don't know if they had a private, sending away a celebration of life for him, but maybe they should have. Because here's the thing, while I do agree with them about the president, that's really major to have all of them come and speak on his behalf, even if they were speaking, politically at some point or use it as a platform. Although I don't feel like it was a time and place. Everybody should have just used their allotted time and said, hey, this is how I feel about him. These were our interactions. And Obama, he kept it G because he could have said, I'm not saying a damn thing. You feel me? Yeah. Because deep down inside, he already knew how he felt, whether the mic was hot or not. And Jesse later apologized. He really already had saw what was up with him from the get-go. And that was the thing that, I was just tripping about. And I said, damn well he was rolling over seeing Obama up there for real. that was just my take, you feel me? But
that is interesting though, Tiffany. I want you to continue on though, but to not be a president, but to be a civil rights leader. In our lifetime, have we seen somebody have presidents at their funeral that wasn't in that? Because would you say that Jesse Jackson was a politician?
In his own right, absolutely. I mean, now that we see the buffoonery and the fools that are actually in administration and in politics, they're no different than somebody who never had a background. There's some of the stuff that we witness when they are live at Capitol Hill, C-SPAN, the stuff that we see is nothing more than people sitting at a table debating or at a cookout. It's just straight buffoonery, in my opinion, as far as like just the intelligence and people having common sense. I feel like what we have in the administration now are just a bunch of clowns. And it's crazy to understand that you have children who have more common sense than the current administration. But that's another story.
I got a question, though, because I don't know your specific age, and I was told it's not appropriate to ask a woman their age. But do you think that us becoming more knowledgeable as we age, we starting to hear the politicians clearly and they just saying dumb shit on that stand?
Absolutely. Okay, so that part with Isaiah Thomas, first off, I was on a live stream. I don't know what the demographic was. I don't know how many bots were in the particular live stream I was watching, but I felt so disconnected while he spoke about things like, sitting on the shoulders of, Jesse Jackson and how he would just pull up. I love that part. You know what I'm saying? I love that aspect of him saying, hey, he had somebody who he could call on as far as just a strong black male leader in his life. Then he was talking about integration, and then that's when the record just stopped for me. And I said, here we go. This is the problem right here. Yeah. Y'all push so much for the integration and wanting to be accepted and wanting to set these tables instead of just building our own tables. And that is exactly why we are where we are. And I thought it was just so crazy in Chicago, again, with so many organizations and so many firsts and so many changes that are happening in general. Again, with our generation of millennials Gen X,
Yeah.
and we talk about that, the boomers and the ones that have come before us, and how they pretty much have just like let us down because they are at a point where, well, I got mine, get yours type of spill, or they did those things and the sittings, and I'm just like, ain't no way I'm sitting at no counter and allowing somebody to spit on me and shove me and stick dogs on me and do all this stuff. I just don't see that happening. And perhaps, yes, it was a part of self-preservation and trying to stay alive, but that, I feel like it just was the wrong message. We should have been armed.
Yeah.
We should have been taking a different stance.
Mm-hmm.
That whole subservient and bowing down is exactly why the culture is the way that it is in the nature, and perhaps maybe why the younger generation are
They don't They don't respect.
They don't respect. Yeah, it's no respect. And that's the reason why, because of the gap, and because they really feel like this is hogwash. Y'all not even talking about nothing. They on thug life. They on that Tupac shit.
Yeah.
So even when we go back to that whole notion of, yes, him being erased and, they didn't want him to continue to have a voice, that's the reason why the Maxine Waters get out there. And I'm like, am I the only one in these comments that just see something completely wrong with all of these people that's out here talking? You have all these people, 70, 75, 70, 80, talking all of that old stuff. We're not trying to hear that no more.
Nah, that's over. That's over. They can't get their mind past it. That's what I feel like also. And
they stuck.
I wanted to ask you a question. I don't know this, but I don't know if you know this, but did Jesse Jackson continue on with Martin Luther King's message of nonviolence and not reacting to with violence? Did he continue on with that? Because I don't know. The day he died, I finished the book that Abby Phillips put out. She put out a book.
I'm not familiar. What is it? What's the name of that?
Hold on, let me get it, because I got a clip for it that I'm gonna play here shortly. Let me look at my. I didn't read the book like physically, but I listened to the audio book on Audible, and
right.
Abby Phillips, she created the book. I'm trying to find it right. A Dream Deferred. That's the title.
A Dream Deferred. Okay, yeah. I'm familiar with that and the Dream Deferred speech.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everybody that got up there and spoke about him, he might have been more direct with his message. I think that was a question I asked, and I felt like I was on Twitter because I was talking to myself, but I was just like, I wonder how things would they have been different if he had won the presidency, when he ran for office. Would they have been different because of what he was saying, in regards to Obama? Would things have been different? Would we still be having a conversation about reparations, or would it just been somebody else just taking the money through the back door just to shut us up? I don't know.
Yeah, that is interesting. I don't know what would have changed, because in '84 I was 4, but
right.
I was 4, but I know that he was. I look back at a lot of his speeches and the things that he was trying to do, and for that time period, it seemed like he was trying to do good things. He had the support. His son said that none of these presidents that came to his funeral knew him, but the current president and him had a relationship. Did you see what Trump put out on X? Did you see the statement that Trump put out?
What you have in front of you? I can remember a little tidbit.
I'll read
but
it.
I know he took some shots, so go ahead.
I'll read it to you if you want me to. Just let me know.
Please.
And I'll read it to you. Hold on. Let me pull it up right quick. I got to pull it up. My fault, Tiffany. So Trump said the Reverend Jesse Jackson is dead at 84. I knew him well long before becoming president. He was a good man with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts. He was very gregarious. I can't pronounce that word.
Gregarious.
Yeah, that trip.
Gregarious.
Trump,
yeah.
Did Trump write this? Gregarious. Yeah, they tripping. So,
You know, his son, he's having his son do his put out his tweets a lot of times.
yeah. So he said, someone who truly loved the people, despite the fact that I am falsely and consistently called a racist by the scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left. Democrats all, it was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. I provided, or he is announcing that he provided office space
Mm-hmm.
for the Rainbow Coalition for 3 to 4 years. In the Trump building at 40 Wall Street.
And
Responded.
my understanding, it was free. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I heard he was providing space for his presidential campaign and all of that for 3 years in New York City. So let me
Mm-hmm.
continue to read. Responded to his request for help in getting criminal justice reform passed and signed when no other president would even try. Single-handedly pushed and passed long-term funding for historical black colleges and universities, which Jesse loved, but also which other presidents would not do. Responded to Jesse's support for opportunity zones, the single most successful economic development package yet approved for black business, men and women, and much more. Jesse was a force of nature like few others before him. He had much to do with the election, without acknowledgement or credit of Barack Hussein Obama, a man who Jesse could not stand. He loved his family greatly, and to them I send my deepest sympathies and condolences. Jesse will be missed. President Donald J. Trump.
Shots fired.
Why they gotta be beefing at all times, Tiff?
I think that um, I think that Trump speaks his mind, whether people like it or not. I think that that's exactly what is needed because the blind, like I just, do you want the truth straight up, or do you want it? You just want lies. For me, we should be beyond that. And whether you like his delivery, I respect that. I respect that he puts it out there, and he's not lying. The man did. I'm telling you, he didn't like you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want somebody speaking or giving my eulogy at my funeral that I didn't bang with like that. Seriously. And I don't know who had the final say so, in regards to the service, but so I think that even though he may have ran on the Democratic ticket, I think that ultimately he probably would have pushed for Republican views and, just really get into us having ownership.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I would have liked to seen him participate in that more, but it's something interesting that you just said that really caught my attention. You said a lot, but what really caught my attention was that you said you would rather be told the truth. You know what I'm saying? And you not like it than hear somebody trying to sugarcoat the message to you and lying to your face, smiling in your face.
Right, and that's what it was about. I feel like all these different people, while they were people that, he rubbed shoulders with and he was around, honestly, I think that the part that people may not want to face is that he would probably have rather rubbed shoulders with a Donald Trump versus an Obama versus a Biden versus Kamala, but the black church in general has blinders on anyway, because I feel like we have been just led astray so far. We're like, that has been one of the biggest things that have done us in. Like, it's your own people. And it made me so upset when I was just reading the chat. I'm looking at the live stream and I'm looking at, this church, this performance, and it's just like every Sunday. Sunday after Sunday. But really, where are we? Are we ready for going forward? You know, with the current politics of the world, financially, just as a whole, you know, where can we readily say and point out, hey, when we're talking about delineation, this is a place where I like to be with like-minded individuals who are about, you know, supporting one another, you know, and just, it's not even having a radical state of mind, but really just seeing things for what it is, that the system is completely broken.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. When you said the system is completely broken, I agree with you on that. And I feel like, delineation is something that does need to happen though. But like you were saying, are we ready for that? Are we really wanting to support each other to the depths of it? Like I might not eat if you ain't open. I might not be able to fill my tank up if your gas station ain't running. That's what delineation means. Who has the utility building? Who is the senior citizens in our ethnicity going to get their Walgreens subscriptions from? That's what delineation actually means. And I feel like I heard Star say it all the time that FBAs don't have a community. I've heard Dr. Claude Anderson say that dang, what did he say? He said in 5 years we will be a permanent underclass.
A permanent underclass.
I hate that statement.
I'm gonna say, I mean, but that's just the reality of things. You know, at this point, does it even matter with, you know, us so-called, well, them selling a fear of World War III and where we are with things. But I'm gonna say that's the one thing I do respect, like when it comes to like the Star Report and, you know, prime real estate and him offering a sponsorship, because it is an opportunity not just for you to be a content creator, but to promote a product, to promote a service that you offer. And unfortunately, you know, we done had this conversation before so many times. Us as a people not believing in one another enough, and so stuff really hits the fan, is our downfall. And just when we stop trusting one another enough to believe in our services and our products. But guess what? That's really what it's all going to boil down to. Who is your immediate community? And do you have people who you can go to get these products and services when they are no longer available, or you just priced out? So, yeah.
That's interesting because we are capable we create everything.
Yes.
But once we create it, we sell it to the other individuals to make the profit off of it. That's what's crazy, and that's what's interesting too, though, Tiffany. I feel like, those services out, man. I went to the store today. I was devastated by the price of 3 items I bought. But pricing out is a real thing that I feel like we need to grasp and try to get an understanding for, because it's coming soon. Like, what would you consider a yearly wage for a middle class individual right now?
Now in 2026, for a couple or for individual?
Individual.
For middle class?
Individual.
An individual middle class. It used to be what was it? It used to be what, 60, 65? I would say double that now.
Yeah, 120
at least.
I would say, 2 people that's making $70,000 a year is middle class. So I would say 140. But if you by yourself, you need less. So 120 is accurate. That's what I would think. I think 120 is middle class, and I would like to. If anybody watching this, because we got a couple of people watching it, I would want to know their perspective also, what they think the current middle class wages is, because I think you hit it right on the nose when you said 120,000.
And that's still, you talking about rising costs with energy, like you say, the utilities. Seemed like the gas, well, not seemed like we knew it was going to happen, but it went up overnight. Insurance and those things. But we already knew that we would come to a point where, though, you know that you can't depend on your government really for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was always going to be a time where you have to make sure that you have something in the top, you know? So they say something for a rainy day.
Mm-hmm.
And again, whether that be a service or product or you just being self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking on the radio earlier. I had tapped in, and they were talking about preparing for the war and all of that and growing your own crops and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, being able to call on somebody and say, hey, you know, what you got? You got tomatoes, or hey, do you have greens and stuff like that?
Do you have
you
rice?
know,
Do you have corn?
right? We're so used to being able to have things ready and, you know, at our fingertips, and we're so comfortable. And crazy how we have these phones in our possession, and that is what really just consumes us the most.
Mm-hmm.
But really, but I want us to get back to talking to one another and getting back to really what it feels like to make connections, because it's really getting out of control rapidly. And
Tiffany, how important is it? This is continuing on with your conversation, but I want to make it quick so you won't lose your train of thought. How important is it for people to know how to articulate themselves in conversation in 2026?
Well, with AI and everything else, that's a missing art. I'm gonna tell you, for me, I've told you before, I am able to communicate most effectively in writing. I'm learning more how to speak out loud, you know. But I do enjoy a good conversation, and I really appreciate you for allowing me to call up and take up some time on your show,
Anytime.
you know, and allowing me to contribute. And so I try to really watch what it is that I'm saying and making sure that it comes across the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But communication is obviously, it's never going to go out of style. I think that we need more people who are able to vocalize what it is they feel and do it with passion and not just empty rhetoric, because we know the ones that's out here that's just like a Jasmine Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
I compare her to an Obama to a certain degree, going back to that, because even while he was out there speaking, it's just a part of him was like, who are you? Like, I know who Trump is. He doesn't have who he is. He's a reality star, you know, who is this gregarious, you know, personality and larger than life personality, and, you know, really doesn't take himself serious. But him, I just felt like Obama, like, who are you? Who did you come from? And they were looking for Michelle. Some people were saying, making a comment like, why is Michelle not here? And it's just like, even with that to me seems like a whole farce. And but that's politics for you. But Jasmine Crockett is crazy to me. You know how readily she switched codes, and I just can't stand it, because I mean, you know, switch coding, everybody does it, right?
Yeah,
but it's just the identity of who she is. It's just, I feel like I don't know who she is.
So do you think that, because everybody do switch codes, but some people switch codes and it show you that they're not authentic in who they are. They're trying to be something that they're not. Is Jasmine Crockett one of those type of individuals? Because I really haven't studied her like I need to.
Right, like up and down. Like she's a type, like, and this was the thing with Kamala that really just triggered me. It's like, you want to be down, hey girl, hey. But then if I was to see her, in a group or setting, she's like the type that would act like she wouldn't know me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only when it's beneficial. And I feel like that's what Obama, like, his agenda was. It's only when it's beneficial. I'm only going to get you with this speech. I'm going to come to you and I'm going to come down to your level and talk to you like the preacher on Sunday so I can get your vote. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, when I can get something from you.
I can get something from you, right. You expect that. You expect that of the other ones, you know what I'm saying? Politicians, you already know. You just expect it. It's just like, we a people. We supposed to be a people. This is you trying to get our vote. What are you doing for us? What are you doing? What are you saying? In 2026 is just, at this point in time, I feel like we just have the blinders off, and
that's true.
What are you talking about? What are you doing for us, period? I'm not interested. That's my feeling.
I agree with you on that statement because I feel like, Trump has been transparent to a state that it's not normal that how transparent he is. And people coming in like Obama I don't think Obama could win again. If he was to run,
me either.
I don't think it, because people will see past the he's still talking about hope in 2026. He was talking about it in 2028.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost 20 years. It's 18 years you've been talking about hope, dog. It's time to switch that up.
And yeah, it's time for results. People want results at this point. It's only with so much that you can, push before it's just empty noise.
Yeah. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Tiffany. Do you have time for me to play a clip of something?
Go ahead. I got about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted you to hear this, and I want to know your take on this before you get off the podcast with me or whatever, though. But
okay, go ahead.
This is a piece from the Jesse Jackson book. I hope you can hear this. Let me play it right quick.
On revival meeting, complete with singing, praying, and a galvanizing call and response between him and the other protesters. But in the context of the broader campaign, these successes were few. The media and the public focused more on Resurrection City's ever deteriorating conditions than on its anti-poverty message. The political columnist Calvin Trillin, a campaign supporter, pointed out the hypocrisy. The poor in Resurrection City have come to Washington to show that the poor in America are sick, dirty, disorganized, and powerless. And they are criticized daily for being sick, dirty, disorganized, and powerless. As wet, muggy June slogged on, even those who strongly supported the campaign were pulling away. Robert Nix, a black congressman from Philadelphia, admitted to the SCLC that there was no enthusiasm in Congress for the campaign. On June 19th, Jackson and the SCLC led a Solidarity Day march on the mall featuring Resurrection City's remaining residents and thousands of campaign supporters. The march ended at the Lincoln Memorial, which, in the wake of King's I Have a Dream speech there 5 years earlier, Jackson had come to think of as a sacred space. Now he, not his beloved mentor, was the one addressing the large crowd. We stand in the shadows of Lincoln the Emancipator, who freed us into capitalism without capital, he announced.
Freed us into capitalism without capital. What's your thoughts on that piece of the audiobook that you heard, Tiffany? And thank you for your time.
You say Fred, what did I think about that? But it was like somebody was in and out listening. Well, that just goes back to everything that we were saying in our previous conversation. The tools, I feel like, are the biggest things that are lacking. And also how do I want to say this? Just the head start in general, right?
Reparations.
So we can, yes, like we're going to keep coming back. We're going to keep coming back to that conversation because you have some people who decided to stay on the land and work because they needed a plan, and I think because they got comfortable. So really with the options were limited. So I don't blame them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, when we talk about entrepreneurs and people that decide to work, everybody can't. I'm just trying to be respectful in how I give this response.
That's true. Everybody can't. You can't hold everybody accountable for a healthy or a mentally stable state. Everybody isn't that. So you have to be able to, have a different perspective for people based upon where they're at the moment. I'm trying to give a good response also.
Yeah, that part, right? And it's crazy because I went to the snowball spot today that opened up because it was nice out. And it was 2 guys, and we just started talking randomly. We talk about the Ravens, and we got on the whole topic of delineation. And he was like one of the guys who said, yeah, but we so far away from, they keep moving the goalposts when it comes to the topic. And he said, if I know that was my daddy's car 40 years ago, it's no way I'm going to let you ride around in my daddy's car. We have all these memories, whatever, whether I rode in it or not, I still know that's my daddy's car. And I'm taking my shit. Excuse my language, but I'm taking it. And we're asking instead of taking. So that's my reply.
I like that. And I know you got
So I'm trying to roll with people that's trying to take what's theirs. That's where I'm at with it, because the system is already broken. What we doing? We want to kumbaya, or what we doing? That's what I'm saying. I'm when it comes to delineation, I'm trying to roll with the people that saying, what's up? What we doing?
That's the word. That is the key word that I don't think a lot of individuals are ready to come to grasp with take. Because a lot of people say that stuff was stolen from us. No, it was taken from us. If we're not willing to...
It was not stolen. That's mine.
Yeah. You get me passionate.
That's mine.
You getting me passionate.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's just like, even with my grandmother's land, right? I know it's there. I know we are buried there. And our people are buried there. I know the history of everything. That's just like somebody just taking it. You really think I'm gonna let you take it? Guess what? If you think you want to take it and we can't have it, nobody can have it. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So in the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, like, I burn all this shit down.
You know what's crazy about what you're saying? I'm thinking about the morally correct Christian individual who will say, just wait, God will provide. Y'all.
Right, and that's what that's what got on my nerves about their funeral. I think that was just getting under my skin, is because it's just that whole notion of just a black church continuously talking about, trouble, and all of that, and singing these hymns, and it's going to be all right in the morning. And yeah, it's going to be all right. Once you set some things into motion, yeah, it's going to be all right for all of us.
They'll tell me and you that our mindset with the taking is we are acting like our oppressors.
Hey, guess what? That's what this country is built on. Taking.
That's facts. And that's what they're doing in multiple countries now. And it's like what Trump is doing with those wars and things. People are mad about what he's doing, but it's nothing new.
Nothing. So what's the shock and the dismay? I'm just trying to figure it out. Why? What are we so shocked about?
Yeah, we've been benefiting from natural resources being took from other countries our whole life. Us having easy access to gas and going to these restaurants, and we got easy access to things.
Easy access to things that people don't have in the rest of the world. You imagine your sister, your daughter being at a school with everybody, they all 12-year-olds, all of them just bombed. You know what I'm saying? And they just going to school. We can't imagine that, you know, waking up to those things while we may live in certain areas that look like war zones.
Mm-hmm.
But just waking up to bombs dropping, you don't know that.
By your own
We don't
people.
know what, we don't know, by your own people. We don't know what that life is about. And that's why I say we so convicted our people, not we, our people are so convicted in the word. But are you willing to die for it?
Mm-hmm. That's it right there. Are you willing to die for it? Because if you ain't willing to die about it, ain't no need
And what
to
we
even
talking
talk
about?
about. Ain't no need to even talk about it.
What we talking about then?
Hey, Tiffany, I appreciate you for your time. Thank you. I meant to
Thank you
text you
for
and
having me.
I meant to text you and tell you I was going live, but I said, man, Tiffany, if she see it, she gonna support regardless, cause she support me, man, and I appreciate you for your.
Always.
I appreciate you, man, and thank you for your take.
And
That
I
was a dope
appreciate you.
take.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you. And I'm a tap in.
Most definitely. Hey, thank you for your time, Tiffany. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a good one here. I'm still listening.
Thank you. Let me turn Tiffany down. Let me give her a round of applause because that was a dope take that she gave. Anybody else tapped into the show that want to call into the show and give a perspective, I would appreciate you. Let's give Timestamp Tiffany another round of applause. I'm going to put one of her comments up on the screen. So if y'all go to her platform and subscribe to her channel, she has a dope channel. She's out of Maryland. Dope individual, great take. One more round of applause. Let's get back into this Reverend Al Sharpton speech. And then I got some more topics for y'all too if y'all want to stay so we can talk hip hop. We're going to talk disc records. We're going to talk about the marathon and what happened at the marathon in Long Beach and Nipsey Hussle dropping a new album and stuff like that. I got a few more conversations and I'm going to get up off of this thing at the 2-hour mark. I appreciate y'all.
As I listened and thought about, everyone quoted the slogan of Reverend Jackson. But I want to, in my few minutes, and if you take Brother Biden's minutes and other minutes, I come out of the Jackson School of Thought. They told me 4 minutes, which means 8 in Jacksonian language. I don't want us, Yusef, to leave here having mourned and then mock what Jackson was all about. We're sitting here acting like our own lack of rising to what he wanted us to be is the reason we are sitting on the brink of some of the most serious Reconstruction behavior being rescinded that we've seen in modern times. To leave here and not follow an assignment would not be what Jesse Jackson taught us. To make us feel good, we went to Jesse Jackson's funeral and that we said nice things about Mrs. Jackson, but people at the same time are killing illegal immigrants. People at the same time are cutting public funding. At the same time, Affordable Care Act is not being renewed and seniors have to deal with premiums. Don't sit here so holy and sanctified and act like you have no assignment yourself. Jesse and Jacqueline Jackson did this. Do you realize they were born, he in South Carolina, her in Florida, when it was against the law? I'm not talking about a custom. Against the law to ride in Southern buses. Against the law to use a toilet downtown. Against the law for you to eat in certain restaurants. And these two Southern-born, raised in Southern American apartheid, went on and put 2 of their sons in Congress broke down barriers of voting. They did theirs. They planted a platform that led to an empowerment, and we are the generations behind them that have returned to those that were against us being empowered. Oh, they went against the Southern bigots in the overalls. We're dealing with manicured Fifth Avenue bigots. I remember I was 12 years old. I was a boy preacher in the Church of God in Christ. Bishop Sheard knew my bishop, Bishop Washington. Bishop Washington, my mother was concerned I was getting into politics. It brought us to Reverend William Jones. His daughter's traveling with us. And Reverend Jones introduced me to Jesse Jackson. I became his youth director in New York at 13. I liked Reverend Jackson because he was a little hipper than the older preachers. He was 27, I was 13 by the time I became youth director. So he was like a father figure to me. When I got about 40, he said, quit calling me father, call me big brother. But what I liked about it is that he didn't have the background others had. He didn't come from generations of preachers. So those of us that didn't have that pedigree, didn't have that background, could relate. And he talked about economics, and he talked about discipline. He would not let us make excuses. I would call him and say we're doing certain things and they're attacking us in the press. He said, oh, another pity party. He never cared when we felt we were being unfairly attacked.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I feel like moving along with the podcast because I don't know how much more of Al Sharpton I can take. You know, Al Sharpton is an individual who has shown that he is a self person. He has told on people. It's in the New York Times that he is a reverend that has snitched. I don't even want to say allegedly because it's proof that he done it. He even spoke about it himself and had his face on camera. But he said that, you know, I think I got to listen to this because he said, leaving with an assignment. I'm going to continue to play this until he speak about the assignment that people have to leave with. I want to know the assignment and the agenda that he is pushing for people to have to leave with. Let's go.
But I never will forget 1994. We went to Dakar, Senegal, and James Meeks and Jesse Jr. and I had dinner with him that night. And that's where he said, Al, Meeks, Jesse Jr., y'all are my disciples. And we said, disciples? And for years, we joked each other. I'd cover the room and Junior say, here's disciple number one, and Meeks. But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson, and on Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, Al, you see what that artifact is? I said, what's that? He said, they call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return. But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, remember when you brought me to the door of no return? He said, yeah. I said, well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you have.
I gotta stop it. I gotta stop it. I gotta read timestamp Tiffany comment and want all the smoke comment too. Take back everything that you have. That's what caught my attention. You know, a lot of people prioritize individuals that is in a lot of political seats. And I know one out of smoke is young, so he need to hear this. A lot of people that wear suits in political seats, they do a lot of commentary, and they look as if they're individuals that is prosperous and they're people that is of substance. But those individuals that a lot of black people look up to are being federally funded. You know, they being funded, they federally funded, so they dependent. They really ain't independent. So I really can't agree with what Al Sharpton talking about. I'm going to continue to play the video, but I want to read what timestamp Tiffany had to say. I think that his sons knew the true Jesse, who didn't believe in none of this nonsense. Because you right, Tiffany, what they talking about is nonsense. Especially what he talking about. He getting a little bit too political, but I want to hear Reverend Al Sharpton out though, because you know, people value some of the things that he has to say. And I'm subscribed to his National Action Network because I listen to the rhetoric, even if I agree or if I disagree. But I like listening to all people, all political parties, all the individuals, even if I agree or disagree, because I just want to know the perspective and I want to be able to be objective and give my take and be able to internalize my thoughts with what's being said. Let's go.
I asked Michael Eric Dyson, our prominent scholar, where in history is this? He said, we always go one step forward and two back. Well, here we are now. The problem is not Trump. The problem is us. We are allowing ourselves to be lowered and our children to feel inferior because you don't have an I am somebody person. You got our artists calling our women bees. Our others calling us niggas. What happened to us? What happened to black and proud? What happened? I'm gonna vote. What happened? Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. What happened to us? We believed our way. And we had the faith to do it. And that's why my challenge to you is that we should do what Jesse Jackson did.
I'm going to stop it because timestamp Tiffany said some prolific things. And Reverend Al Sharpton said something that I agree with because it ain't Trump. It is us internally. But the problem is that certain people got money and started looking at each other differently and started competing and comparing. You know, I'm doing well with myself right now, me and my family and my loved ones. But I know I'm from the trenches, and I don't look down on nobody that's from the trenches. Timestamp Tiffany, her comment said, would you rather vote for a candidate who funded their own campaign or who has been bought and paid for? You know, when I did the interview that I did with Judge Joe Brown, he gave me a website to look at, and dang, it's been 3 years and I'm forgetting that website, but that website was a very interesting website that showed all of the individuals who was funding this person who was running for some sort of political seat. I'm going to remember the name. I just can't remember it right now. But Judge Joe Brown gave me a very prolific website to see, like, whoever is running for this position as a governor in Maryland or D.C., or if they're running for this position in Tennessee, Carolina, Georgia, Florida, you go check out this website and it'll show you the agenda that they have and what they followthemoney.org. Go check that out. Followthemoney.org, and it will show you who these politicians is being funded by and what the agenda is and what they want passed. But also, she said, what happened is that he is trying to get a collection plate. He acting like he a pastor. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue to listen on, man, and I'm going to get on into something else beyond this. I done spent almost 2 hours on the Jesse Jackson situation, but I got a few more topics I want to talk about, and I'm going to listen to this. He's about to speak about the agenda that he's talking about, the assignment. That's what he said. He said Jesse Jackson wouldn't want us to leave here without an assignment. So let's listen to the assignment, and then we're going to cut him off. Real talk.
Not look at what you can see, but look at what you can believe even if you can't see it. Sitting up here talking about, oh, they got all the power, we can't win. We got to win. Because they put the seeds of victory in us. If we just nurture them and grow, Hakeem Jeffries be the Speaker of the House. If we keep on winning, we'll get the Senate back. If we keep winning, we can save health care for our grandmamas. If we keep winning, we can bring about criminal justice reform. If we keep winning, we can have 2 Jackson boys in the Congress. We didn't come this far to turn around now. Reverend Sharp, Pastor Fellowship, I was talking to him. And I said, Reverend Sharp, I was saying, Reverend Sharp, Jesse Jackson talked about keep hope alive. And I met a man that Reverend Jackson admired called Adam Clayton Powell when I was a kid. And Adam had a slogan called Keep the Faith, Baby. And I'd like, Tyler Perry's here. He canceled something to be with us. I'd like one day Tyler to do a whole thing on it, Adam Powell, because there's a little risque side to Adam that Tyler know how to handle that kind of stuff. And between Jesse Jackson's slogan of keep hope and Adam's slogan of keep faith is what I challenge us and the Jackson family to do. Because my mother told me in my engine, I had 2 gears, hope and fear. Hope is that I hope a better day will come. Hope is I won't give up. Hope is that we come this far by faith. But she said, but sometime it's going to get dreary. And that's when your gear goes to faith. Faith is the substance of things you hope for, not hope for. The evidence of things not seen. Faith is when the doctors give up, but you hold on for another doctor. Faith is when you got bills to pay and no money to pay them. Faith is when they write you off and when they write you back. We come this far by faith.
I'm going to get on into some more topics. I've gave this enough time. The foolishness has been spewed. I'm going to read One Out of Smoke, you know what I'm saying, comment. And I want to ask Out of Smoke a question because, you young, AD. Answer this question for me in the comment section, please. What's your thoughts as a 19-year-old about hope? When you hear these old individuals who've been talking about hope before your mama was alive, what is the youth's thoughts about hope? Because I know a lot of young individuals who is into hip-hop listen to my channel. and tap in with my channel. What is you young individuals' thoughts about hope? Because to me, he said that Jesse Jackson's message was to keep hope alive, to believe even if you can't see it. He said faith is the substance of things. I don't feel like faith is something that you can touch. I feel like faith is a belief. I have faith in things that is, I speak affirmations and I believe in things also, though, but I feel like what he's talking about is something that people won't even gravitate to. And I want to get into some more commentary. I want to get into some foolishness too, though, to be honest with y'all, because this educational topic and me getting up to speed with the funeral, it kind of has me fatigued, to be honest with you, real spill. And let me get my screen right so I can. I usually don't go live, y'all. You know, this is something that is kind of I'm unfamiliar with, but I want to get what y'all want to get into. I got the GOAT conversation. Michael Jordan was on NBC talking about the GOAT conversation and how it has transferred into sports, because y'all know LL Cool J created the acronym the greatest of all time when he created that album. The greatest of all time doesn't even have nothing to do with sports. It has something to do with hip hop. Also, I want to play this Nick Saban and Trump sitting down together clip, because they talk about they want to do something with the NIL and change college players from getting all of these finances. I also have one more topic. I have another topic of the Nipsey Hussle marathon shooting and the interview that Black Sam had in Los Angeles about Nipsey Hussle's new documentary, his new music and stuff like that. Or I can get into Papoose freestyle against 50 Cent. You know, 50 Cent responded on a song with Max B. Let me know what topic y'all want me to touch bases on. I'm going to give y'all a couple seconds, so you know what I'm saying, and let me know. And we're going to get right to it. Real spill. Talk to me in the comment section. I guess I got to pick the topic. We're going to get into this freestyle Papoose released. You know, Papoose is known for dating Clarissa Shields, being married to Remy Ma. To me, he's one of the best rappers of all time. He doesn't have a classic project or none of that. But he is acknowledging 50 Cent in this beef, and it seems like everybody is coming out and coming at 50 Cent right now. But let's listen to the freestyle.
Yo. Yo. Fuck Curtis Jack, that's what came to mind soon as I heard the track. Ball spitting lyrical, condescending to murder rap. Heard they shot his ass with a Nina. He deserved a Mac. About to turn the heat up, I got my hand on a thermostat. Ugly ass G-Unit sneakers. Had the shirt to match, cause after Get Rich or Die Trying, your every verse was whack. Mad cause Diddy hit your chick. You a jerk for that. Diddy clap them cheeks so loud, the neighbors heard the slap. That's why you made that documentary, you was hurt from that. I heard she fucked all 5 guys and they bring a burger back. Spoke to some conspiracy theorists, they said the earth is flat. They also said you work for Illuminati. Nervous rat. What would make this chump think that he could spit a verse with Pap? Somebody better pray for this nigga. Where the church is at? If it wasn't for M, you'll be looking for a purse to snatch. Bought your girl a wig, then you told her to return it back. 50, you a petty son of a bitch. Bernie Mac killing this nigga softly. Lauryn Hill, Roberta Flack. Never.
What y'all think about those bars and Papoose as an artist in totality? Why Papoose hasn't never popped? Why he hasn't never released a hit? You know, I feel like Papoose is one of the best artists ever, you know, with his writing capabilities and things. And, he's just a great writer. You know, he called 50 Cent. The reason this beef is going like this with Papoose, even though 50 is in a beef with T.I., he's in a beef with Fabulous, Jim Jones. I don't think Dave East responded to him, but Mano and all of those boys is 50 Cent is just all over the place talking crazy though, but he called that nigga girlfriend handsome. That shit was disrespectful when he called him handsome like that. He said he got to smoke Pap for that. I agree with you, AD though, but I feel like 50 Cent don't want none of that smoke. He said, man, your girl got 5 guys and all of that old type of shit. He was talking crazy on that record. And I feel like Papoose lyrically is better than 50 Cent. That's crazy that 50 Cent got a classic. It show you how valuable teamwork is to create a project. Papoose might can rap better, but he doesn't have the production. He doesn't have the rollout. He doesn't have the designer. He don't have the promotion to make him the star. 50 Cent had everything. He had Jimmy Iovine. He had Eminem. He had Interscope. He had Dr. Dre. He had the best engineers in the game, the best people to mix and master his music. And he had a beef going with Ja Rule and Murder Inc. in totality. And he was from New York getting help from the West Coast, from the people who know how to make imagery something that isn't what it really is. So Pap might be the better rapper, but that's just crazy. Now, I want y'all to hear this record. This is a record from 50 Cent. Tell me what y'all think about this. This is featuring Max B. Max B just recently got released after doing, I don't know how much time Max B did, though, but I think it was 15, 16 years. But him and 50 collaborated on a record. I was proud to see 50 give him a position to get heard even more. But what y'all think about this record? I see a lot of people that is, kind of torn about this record. And call into the show to get y'all perspective on this beef and all of this interesting foolishness that's going on. Let's go.
You should be polite. This is the purge. If not, this is what happens tonight. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. And you don't even count, little nigga. I got a little bonus. No more chicks. Let it rock. Cock it and let it pop. Snitching, you better not. I grew around different weeds. Demons do different deeds. Pressure, I feel a squeeze. He say he can't breathe. Bitch, I got so much bread. She said she can't leave. I show her life without me. She said she can't see it. Me, I'm about to lick. You go by the drip. You in the mirror all day and still gotta buy a bitch. I pull up in different whips. Whips and chains, switching lanes. Boy, I hear that shit you're saying, so I'ma get with you, man. Catch him, clip him. Bought him, ripped him. Punch him, kick him. Stick him. No more chicks. No more tries. Your niggas is pussy, I can see it in your eyes. Black trench coat, we be creeping in the skies. We done with you bitches, no more believing the lies. No more chicks. No more tries. Your niggas is pussy, I can see it in your eyes. Black trench coat, we be creeping in the skies. We done with you bitches, no more believing the lies.
Out of all the beef records that I heard since 2024, from the Drake and the Kendrick to the J. Cole to the Simba to the Young Dolph to the T.I., the Fabulous Verses and all of that, I feel like that was a good record if it wasn't anticipation that 50 Cent was gonna respond to T.I. and Fabulous and all of them boys. But that shit was garbage. That shit was trash can juice, to be honest with you. Max B actually performed better on that song than 50 Cent, and I never thought those words would be coming out my mouth. I apologize if y'all disagree with me. Help me understand that. But I feel like Max B performed better on that record than 50 Cent. 50 Cent, people got all that trolling you be doing and talking bad about people got a high expectation for you to release records. Real talk. I'm going to get off of this topic, man, and I'm going to move along in the conversation because, this beef is getting old. I've been talking about 50 Cent, T.I., King, and, Fabulous had released a diss track with Mano and all of them boys. I've been talking about this for 3 to 4 weeks. We got to move along in the conversation because this shit is not even entertaining no more. Just my perspective. So, my GOAT, Michael Jordan, my GOAT of all of sports, Michael Jordan, he got a contract with NBC where he's getting money to converse about basketball. And we never heard Jordan talk about who is the GOAT, what does the GOAT conversation mean to him, and if he feel like he is the GOAT. And let's just get to it.
To talk about the conversation of that term, the GOAT.
The whole GOAT term is never going to be something that I ever will get high or low about, you know. It just doesn't exist with me. I never played against Oscar Roberts or Jerry West. Would have loved to. Absolutely love to. Just as competitive as I am. You know, and I actually learned from them, you know, and we, you know, paved the road to the Kobe's and the LeBrons, right? You know, and to me, it's the beauty of the game of basketball that a player, after a previous player, has evolved the game further.
Mm-hmm.
But don't then, in essence, this is where I look at it, you know, don't then now use that against the player that actually taught you the game or that you learned from.
Yeah,
and that's why I have a tough time. And, you know, look, I would love to have played against LeBron and, you know, Kobe in my prime. You know, I would love to have played, you know, against those guys. But we'll never be able to know that. Part of the marketing, part of the hype, part of the things that tries to elevate one generation above the other,
right.
I think it creates animosity. I have no animosity against today's players, but you do have certain players that do have animosity because of the forgottenness of what their contribution has been to the game of basketball. It is what it is. It is a empty comparison. It's absolutely never find that the true answer to that question.
It's a circular conversation.
It's just going to keep
You're
going.
never going to get
and
a right
I understand.
answer.
And
but it's
know,
great to talk about.
100% to talk about and envision. Look, I think LeBron has had an unbelievable career, and I admire him for what he's done. You know, and Kobe as well as KD and all these guys who have played in this era. I think they've elevated the game of basketball tremendously. I just don't agree when you start, you know, trying to put one above the other. It doesn't work. We'll never know. It creates more of a problem from, you know, not for me. I've never given it credence. But, you know, for other players who look for their existence within the generation of basketball. And we should always honor that. We should always preserve that. We should always, you know, reward that they paved the road for a lot of generations after that. And by doing that, you somewhat, I mean, Jabbar, I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, I mean, Bill Russell had 11 championships. Yeah. I mean, how do you just push them in the corner and say, oh, we ain't gonna think about you. You know, we forgot about you. You know, that to me is where I get lost.
You know, one thing that I like about that conversation that Mike just had is that he didn't minimize the greats before him. Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He mentioned LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and all of that. He didn't say nothing about Steph, though. You know, he didn't give Steph no credit because Steph is a hell of a player. But one thing that I want to address is that the GOAT acronym was created through hip-hop. It wasn't created through basketball. The greatest of all time was created from LL Cool J. I would love for somebody to call in and have this conversation with me of what they thought about what they heard from Michael Jordan with the GOAT conversation. Playboy, what's poppin'? You tapped into the Trevor Jackson Podcast. Educate me on what you just heard, nephew.
Hey, though, MJ getting real disrespectful out here, man. Why he ain't named Curry, though? Like what's to that? I feel like he's trying to be disrespectful. Like,
He named Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. He ain't give Curry no shine. What's poppin'?
Nah, I know what it is, though. Curry don't play like none of them niggas. They all play alike, bro. They all got the same bag. They all, like, ain't nobody that did what Curry did. MJ doing what Bron doing what MJ did. MJ, like, it's all a repeated cycle. With Curry, it's something different. You can't compare him to none of them. So it's like he in a league of his own. He better not name Curry with none of them trash ass niggas. Bro.
When will they respect Curry's greatness? Then educate me on that. When will they respect his greatness?
When they don't see nothing else like it. It's over.
Now, people try to mimic what Curry do, but they don't do it to the efficiency level that he does because he can shoot 12 shots and score 30 points. But Bill Russell is something unique that has never been recreated. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is something unique that has never been recreated. Jordan is something unique that people try to mimic. You got Kobe and Bryant try to mimic it, but Curry is something different, though. Educate me, nephew, on what Mike said. Is it a such thing as a GOAT?
I feel like the GOAT, of course, is the greatest of all time. So I feel like I don't really know. Like, he got a point saying, like, you'll never know who the greatest of all time is because they ain't play against each other. You can't compare him and Bron and say he the GOAT when they didn't step foot on the court together. So it's like, it's a hard take, but if you look at the stats, of course it's Bron. But if you look at the highlights and just be like, okay, MJ got better highlights. He dunked it on niggas. He got a better shot. It's just, I don't know. It's weird, but I mean, it's just all your preference. If you feel like MJ better, that's your preference. You feel like Kobe better, that's your preference. It's all how you like to play basketball, I feel like.
I agree with you on that because if you are an objective individual, I feel like, everybody is great at doing what they do, though, but what you like is what you like. And what you do is what you do, and you agree with what you like. I can see how you would think Curry is the GOAT because I remember that 2016 season. I ain't never seen nothing like it. I ain't never seen nothing like that shit, to be honest with you. And Mike is my favorite player of all time, but I don't think he could recreate what Curry was doing. And I don't think that people can recreate what Mike was doing because Mike, what people say is he won 6 championships and he didn't lose. But the statistic that mattered to me is that he won Defensive Player of the Year and he never went to 7 games in the finals. That's the most prolific stat to me. So to be honest with you, I would give it to Mike 1, Kobe 2, Steph 3.
That's a good list.
What's your list? Give me your list before we move along in the conversation.
Of course, me, I'm gonna say Curry 1, MJ 2, Kobe 3.
Okay, I like that list. Because it's all about preference. It ain't about, some individuals will think that, we got to you can be right. Ain't no such thing as right because everybody have a different view and a different perspective of things.
Facts. It's like the only reason I picked Curry, I feel like you can't. It's something we ain't never seen before. It's different. You can't. It's gonna be hard to imitate shoot from half court efficiently. Like, it's gonna be hard to do that. It's like, it's just not normal. That's God gifted. Yeah. So it ain't gonna be able to be, And MJ, I give my respect to him. I seen his highlights. Super nice. Kobe, super nice. Bron, ass.
We had the conversation through text earlier. Kobe and Mike was more heart. Steph is more skill.
Correct.
He's skilled with a little heart. He got heart too, but he was more skilled though. You remember the conversation we was having, last night when we did the pod about Trump and college football?
Yeah.
Who is the GOAT? Give me your top 3 coaches of college football of all time.
College football of all time?
In your era.
My era, I still think it's Nick Saban, Ryan Day. Who on?
What's buddy that used to coach for
Kirby?
Florida?
I gotta go Kirby.
Oh yeah, Kirby. Yeah, your time is Kirby.
Yeah,
but what about buddy that coached for Florida that went to Urban Meyer?
He was.
He before your time, ain't he?
Yeah, but even though he a Buckeye, but he like before I ain't get to see the greatness he's doing. So it's like
he go. Let's go.
I've seen Nick Saban put in work. I've seen Ryan Day put in work, and I've seen Kirby put in some work.
Yeah. I would put Urban over Day, but the other 2 I got you. But Urban, that motherfucker at Florida and at Ohio State, that shit was crazy. that shit was crazy.
He was going crazy.
I'm about to close the pod off, AD, but I want you to hear something, and I want me and you to converse about this. Nick Saban was linked up with Trump today.
Ooh-wee.
They talking about what they gonna do with college football. Let's check it out before we get up off of this thing and give a take on it.
Let's get it.
Listen to it.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the chance and the opportunity to be here to speak with you today, but I just want everybody to know that I'm just a football coach. I spent my life when we had the ball trying to get a first down, when they had the ball trying to get off the field on third down. So this is an unlikely position for me to be in to speak to such a distinguished group of people. Thank you. But I come here today with a question. What are the guiding principles for the future of college athletics? All athletics. I'm talking about football, basketball, Olympic sports, revenue, non-revenue, it doesn't matter. You know, my goal as a coach for my players, for our players, was to help them be more successful in life, that we would create an atmosphere and environment that would help them through personal development, academic support, 668 degrees in 17 years at Alabama, and help them develop a career as a football player. That was our goal, so that they were creating value in life and we were preparing them for their future past athletics. So what happened? You know, in this current system that we have, that became impossible to do because people, instead of making decisions about creating value for their future, they were making decisions about how much money could they make at whichever school they could go to or transfer to. So I think we have a challenge here today about the ramifications of this current system on how it helps players be successful in their future and how we can impact and create a system that will help and preserve the opportunity for student athletes to be able to have success in their future beyond athletics. So we need to develop an effective system of revenue sharing, authentic name, image, and likeness, authentic being you have marketing value, which now we have collectives, which just create opportunities, which just become pay for play. Eligibility issues where we have guys playing 6, 7, and 8 years. So you have 25 and 26-year-old people playing against 18 and 19-year-olds, which is not healthy. Transfer rules, we have over 4,000 people in the portal. Fans don't like it, support groups don't like it. It's not really healthy for players in graduation to transfer several times in your career. You really put yourself in a pickle in terms of your ability to graduate. So I think we need to come up with a system, and we obviously have to do it with the president's leadership and also with Congress probably, whether it's antitrust legislation or whatever it is, to allow student athletes in all sports, including women's and Olympic sports, to enhance their quality of life while going to college, but still provide opportunity to advance themselves beyond their athletic career, which is what
what did you hear initially, AD?
I'm just hearing he want real football back. You know, people coming out of high school want big checks and all this big money to come and not even produce or come and actually play football. You know, they want to be divas. I don't know. It's like people want to come. They know it's a very low chance to get to the league, so they try to take this NIL and try to make it as long as it, like, they just try to make the best of it. So it's like, it ain't fair to other people, but it's like the big names in college football, they the coachable players, they ain't money hungry, they ain't none of this, and they're the ones that get paid the most. So it's like, I feel like everybody need to be more just humble and just come to the table with, like, I feel like just straight. I don't know, bro, because it's gonna be hard. Like, these people want money, and you know the family, they probably in their ears go where there's the most money. So I feel like you just gotta want football more than the money, bro. And the money gonna come if you good at football. So I feel like I agree with them totally. Take the money away and make them earn it. So we're gonna get real football back.
You know what's interesting about all of this too, though? Do you think that what Nick Saban was saying about him assisting people beyond football, do you think that is accurate in what he's saying, or do you think he just putting on for the cameras? He really didn't mean what he was saying.
Like, you mean what he did as a coach, or just in general?
He said he wants you to be successful beyond football. I want you to be educated.
I feel like,
yeah.
Nick Saban, of course, when he was at Bama, He ain't played no games. You know, it's people that's in the league that gave stories about Nick Saban. If their grades aren't right, they wasn't playing. If they was skipping class, they wasn't playing. It matter if your grades good or not. You skip class, you ain't playing. So I feel like he emoji be a great man, a great leader. So I agree with him. For sure.
Okay. That's what's up. What you got to say in closing? We coming back next Sunday?
Yes,
Tapping
sir.
in them Jackson boys.
Straight action. Y'all know where to be.
Hey, yeah, that shit was piped up, man. Y'all got to subscribe to the channel if you knew her. You got to hit that like button, that hype button if you knew her. We had a great conversation tonight. We was talking political. We talked about the funeral of Jesse Jackson. We talked about sports. We talked a little bit about hip hop, you know. AD called into the show. Timestamp Tiffany called into the show. Great show, man. I appreciate you, AD. I'm going to call you on the back end when I get up off of this thing, man. Thank you for your time, Few.
What's up?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Let me give AD a round of applause, man, because he gave a great take on sports. He gave a great take on the GOAT conversation, Nick Saban and Trump trying to do something different with college football because the NIL is a mess. Real talk. Me being a person from Knoxville, Tennessee, and seeing what was done with Nico Amalivia, that's his name now. I feel like that what he was doing was wrong. He left Tennessee, tax-free state, to go to California, the highest tax state in the country, and receive less because he wasn't happy. I would love to know y'all take on that. Real talk. But let me give AD a round of applause. Make sure y'all go tap into the Jackson Boys Live that we did last Sunday, this Sunday previously. Dope show. Give them boys a round of applause also. I want to do a promotion package right quick, and I want to give a take on something that is personal to me, you know. Family member Theo, he is doing something in the legacy of my family. You know, my family, I'm a Jackson boy. We create content around us and the things that we like to do, sports, hip hop, politics, just life in general. And my cousin has created a business. You know what I'm saying? Let's Barbecue, the tenderism nigga, ain't got nothing on this Tennessee smoke shit. You know what I'm saying? He is doing it in his father's name, called it Teddy's Barbecue. And he's giving game. And he also is collaborating with somebody that I appreciate. You know, if you have tapped into the Two Brothers podcast, who I deal with my partner Troy, my cousin Theo and Reggie is collaborated with something called the Smoke Shack. If you ever in East Tennessee and you want to get some of that good food, man, you tap into them boys. They got the best shit smoking. Real spill. I'm at this thing, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning into my channel. Hit the hype button. Hit the like button. Rewind this shit all the way back and get the education. Peace, love, plenty, abundance. Make sure you go get you some money, and I'm gone. Chill.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.